Hey everybody, it's Kyle at Meistervision again with another Raspberry Pi tutorial / demo. This time I've already posted a pretty lengthy how to get started with your Raspberry Pi, but I wanted to kind of demo real quick and to do the walkthrough setup for the new version of Occidentalis. So it's version 0.2, and this is a distribution put out by Adafruit. And this version, it's based off of the Raspbian and Wheezy August 16th release of the distribution put out by the Raspberry Pi organization or foundation. And but what I really like about Adafruit's distribution, this Occidentalis, is it adds a lot more functionality right out the gate. You have a lot more chipsets are supported. Wireless dongle chipsets are supported right out of the box, and it also gives you a number of other things, especially for those that are wanting to do some like hardware development off the Pi. And so the biggest updates with this new image is they say now that you only need a 4 GB SD card in order to install the image on your SD card. Another cool thing is Raspi config is retained on boot, so it actually boots up. And so my previous tutorial I showed you how to get into it and to set some things up that way. But another annoying thing that you could see in my last tutorial was that WLAN 0 was just always there, and regardless of whether you had anything plugged in. And so we had to kind of change everything to be WLAN 1 when we added a new Wi-Fi adapter. So that's gone. And they've added a number of other features for servo controls on the GPIO number 18 header, and tons of other. They've added some kernel modules for different hardware devices and sensors, and they do have like kind of a pseudo real-time clock built in that's just based off the system time. But yeah, this is my new Raspberry Pi. I just got it in the mail. Here is the previous one, the one I've been using. It's a Mod My Pi case. It's a white one. I like it. But I put this one in the green Mod My Pi case. And I also have a little. I talk about the Mod My Pi cases in great depth. But anyways, yeah. So this is just a 4 GB SD card that I've went ahead and flashed over or burned the Occidentalis 0.2 distribution over to it. It's 4 gigs, which is nice. So I know if, like this one over here is, let me see, this is a 32 gig, and you really don't need it all that much if you're just doing basic stuff. So it's nice to be able to use a 4 gig one instead of like an 8 gig or up. But anyways, you can see I have my Logitech keyboard plugged in over here and trackpad. And I'm using HDMI out. This is an HDMI to DVI adapter onto my monitor, and here's my micro B USB plugged into the wall. But yeah, so I'm just gonna boot it up for the first time and kind of walk you through the basic steps for setting it up and kind of just talking a little bit about the distribution in general. Alright, so now I'm just actually plugging in the micro USB into the Pi to give it power. And this is the first time I've booted this one up, so hopefully everything works. Oh, it helped if I plugged it in first. Alright. So yeah, we're getting the lights now. Let's see what we're getting over here. So it's booting up just fine. It's just initializing everything for the first time. Which is pretty cool. So it actually looks like it recognized my my wireless card. This is a new one I got, an EdiMax card off of Amazon for $9.99. That's one plus, one perk to the Adafruit distribution, is that they have a lot more firmwares built in that'll work right out of the box, which I think is very cool. So before, they would actually assign WLAN 0. This is kind of an annoying thing. WLAN 0 would be like default. Even if you plugged in a Wi-Fi dongle, then you'd have to go through and reconfigure everything as WLAN 1. And I did that on my last tutorial, but this, but from what they're saying and what it looks like it's doing, it'll be automatically assigned to WLAN 0. Okay, so it's unable to get anything because I haven't set up my WPA stuff yet. Gives these cool, like, unique signatures. Okay. Another change to version 0.2 of Occidentalis is it opens up Raspberry config for you right away. This was one of my complaints before. Is it didn't even open that. It wouldn't even let you know what was going on. So what's nice, you'd have to actually go in and type the command yourself, which actually isn't that big of a deal to type it in yourself. But if you're new to this and you didn't know there was one, it took me a little while to kind of figure out, oh, that's how I get to everything. But kind of one of the first things you're going to want to do is you're going to want to, if you live in the United States or a different country than the United Kingdom, you're going to want to set the locale. Want to change the locale. So you just go over it, hit enter. Alright, here we go. So over here we get like a long list of different locales, and we want to, since I'm in the United States, we're going to want to go to EN, so you can see Great Britain is selected, UTF-8, UTF-8. We want to leave that, don't delete that, but go ahead and go to your local area, wherever that may be, but for me it's in the United States, I just totally skipped it. Let's see. Okay, here it is. And there's a couple of choices it gives you. Just go with the UTF-8, press spacebar to select it, and then press enter to move on. Okay, now it's going to ask us what we want our default to be, because we now have two locales chosen, and go ahead and select the US UTF-8 one that we just added in there. And just a disclaimer: don't remove the Great Britain locale. It will mess things up. I can vouch for that. It just since it is built by a company from the United Kingdom, it doesn't like it. So, so go ahead and leave that one on there, even though it's not going to be your default. And you can see down here, it is actually changing it, and it says this might take a while. Alright, it didn't take that long. Okay, here we are back at the Raspberry configuration area. Another thing that we really want to do is you can change, and I would really do this, change the default password for the Pi user. This is definitely a good thing to do, especially if you're connected to the internet at all. Okay, and then down here it's just asking me to do the new Unix password, and I will do one. Alright. Oh. Hold on, it gave me an error. I think I typed in the wrong thing. Try this again. Oh, okay, so, yeah, I typed in two different passwords on accident. Says your password has changed successfully. Okay. Another really important thing is if you're using a United States keyboard, if it's mapped to the United States, you're gonna want to do that. And this is because right now I think like the 3 does like the British pound sign, and the quotes don't work. They do like an @ sign, like an ampersand. No, not an ampersand, but an @ sign. I don't know what you guys call them. Anyways, so that's kind of really key. So I'm just going to go ahead and set the keyboard layout. hit enter. Takes a little while to boot up. Alright, so we get a lot of choices here. Right now, it's just set to the generic 105 International PC keyboard. Just go ahead and hit enter on that, and then because that's what we're gonna map it as. And you can see right now, it's actually the layout is set for the English UK. So this will work for wherever you live too. So not just United States, but well, you'd have to change the locale. But we go to other because we don't have any of those. We don't want any of those. Brings up a new screen, asking us which country we're from, basically. And you can see you have a big list. But we want to do English. And these are not countries; these are languages. Sorry. But we want to do English United States, so instead of the UK. So let's hit enter there. Takes us back here. Select the layout for the keyboard for this machine. You got a lot of different options there, but we're just going to do basic English US. Okay. Some layouts, Alt-GR is a modifier key. I don't care about this, so let's just do the default keyboard layout. We don't want to do a compose key. And you can set where Control, delete, or backspace, whatever. That actually will terminate the X server to be out of your GUI. I actually like that, so I'm going to do yes. Alright. So down here, it's this actually takes a little bit of time, I think. It's funny, this one says this may take a short while, but the other one said this may take a while. But I think it's actually a longer while than the other one. Yeah, I just wanted to show you guys real quick how to do this to get you running. Alright, we're back at it. Another thing that you may want to do, I'm not going to do right now, just for the sake of time. Well, let's do time zone. That's not what I was going to say, but... so we want to do US. And select your country. Now we do our time zone. And I'm Eastern, so we'll hit that. Okay, cool. So now you can see down here, I missed it, but it gave us the time, the local time, which is cool. One other thing that you may want to do is this second one right here. It's called expand. Basically, you can expand the root partition to fill the SD card. This is really useful. My other Raspberry Pi, I have a 32 gig SD card, and I totally did that because I wanted to be able to have access to the rest of the cards. So this one's only 4 gigs. I'm not too worried about it, but I may do it later. But just so you know, it'll ask you to reboot, and then once you reboot, it'll take a long time. It'll take a while to actually partition out that space. So we're done. So we're just gonna go over to finish, and we're done. Okay. So for those of you wondering, the first thing you want to do if you wanted to get into the X terminal server or the basic GUI or whatever you want to call it, just use Start X. All right. I totally dig this background. The color's not coming up as well as it should, but yeah, so it gives you some icons over here built in, so you got your Python stuff, and then you have your taskbar, and let's see, where is it? Okay, right there, you can see like, that's your processing, what's going on there on the processor. It gives you a little gauge. And so some of the default stuff that's built into this thing. Oh, I'm not using the right mouse there. Is yeah, you got preferences. You got System tools, task manager, programming, real basic stuff that it gives you. Gives you a couple different web browsers, yeah, just to show you. Well, I don't even think I'm connected to the internet yet, so that's not going to work. So let's Control-Alt-2. Let's get us back to a screen here, and then I'm just going to show you how to set up the Wi-Fi on this thing, and we'll see. Hopefully, it'll all be ready to go. All right. So the first thing we want to do when setting up our wireless networking is we want to see what we have and if everything has installed correctly. And then on the boot up, I could tell that it was recognizing my wireless card, so that was a good thing. But you're going to use the command iwconfig, and this is going to list your different interfaces. We can see we have F0 is your Ethernet. There's nothing there, but we do see WLAN 0. And on the previous version, WLAN 0 would always be up. It was really annoying, and so your new thing, your new USB dongle or whatever it was, would just automatically go to a WLAN 1. So that required a little bit of changing stuff around. Not too big a deal, but this makes it more convenient and easier, I think, to get going. But yeah, you can see. Yeah, so right now I'm actually connected, but you can see my ESSID set there, but what you do see is it has nickname. It says Wi-Fi at Realtek. You just want to make sure that that you're getting something there, and that it's not just saying no wireless extensions. So that means that all your drivers, all the firmware that you've had set for that that would work well. And I'm not going to go into with specific network adapters how to get them working. The only thing I would suggest if you're having problems and you've used that wireless dongle before on Linux is to honestly get the Adafruit Occidentalis distribution, because they add a lot more wireless adapter support. A lot more adapters will work onto that. And so I know that if I just use the Wheezy this, I don't think this one works. But it does work right out of the box. I've tried two different ones and they both have worked out of the box. But you're going to want to go into at this point, now that you know that it's there, you're going to do sudo nano etc/network/interfaces. And this is where we're going to actually configure the Raspberry Pi to connect to a WPA secured network. And you can do this with WEP, whatever you want to do. So what's nice, again, is it has it all as WLAN 0. So what we're going to do is we're just going to change a couple of things. We're going to give the network name here, which is Battlestar Galactica for me, but whatever your guys' home network name is. You're going to type in the password here, which I'm not going to type on the screen. But one quick trick you're going to want to do is instead of SSID, this is actually an ESSID. So go ahead and change that ESSID. And hold on one sec. Okay, so now we just want to double check that that the adapter is on and everything. Yours. Okay, yeah, this is what it should look like. It's not associated with any access point yet, because even though we'll be given it our information, we still need to restart it. In order to do that, you're going to use a command called. We're going to use the root access is sudo /etc/init.d and networking, and we're gonna restart. All right, there we go. Okay, so look, it did give us a local address off the router, which is really, really a good sign. And let's see what's going on here. So now we just want to try to ping something like google.com to see if we actually have internet access. And as you can see, we do. We're connecting to Google.